Welcome, angels. I am Heather Buzzard, a Buzzard's Corner of Love. Think outside the box. And we are here today in Los Angeles, California with Miss Rosemary. And angels, this is really non-church. It doesn't have anything to do with religion or anything of that nature. It has to do with life and life experiences. And we have a lady here, Miss Rosemary, and she's a woman of 83 years young, who, eight, my apologies, 84 years young, and she has life experience. And the topic we're going to speak about today is active listening. How many of us truly listen? We hear, yet do we truly listen? I will say, for me, I interrupt people when they do talk to try to get my point across, or so that I won't forget what it is that I'm saying. Yet I will say to you, active listening is different than hearing. Active listening is taking the time out to truly listen to what it is the person desires to say. Whereas hearing is if you're busy doing something else or you're involved in another activity or if you're just on the surface. That is just listening or hearing. So let me bring in Miss Rosemary. As we turn, we say welcome, Miss Rosemary.
Thank you for having me.
How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you, and yourself.
Great. Look up into the camera so that everybody can see your beautiful face.
Okay.
Miss Rosemary, tell us what active listening truly is.
It's allowing yourself to still yourself to allow the other person who is sharing to be heard. And in order to be heard, you have to open yourself and be willing not to ask questions, but to only listen and listen intently. In doing so, you allow the person the opportunity to get off their chest many times things that are very heavy, burdensome, that they've kept to themselves for many years because they haven't had ample persons available to them who were willing to speak up and let them be heard. So if you listen intently, you'll hear what that person is saying, and later on, you can bring back to them some of what they have said to you, which will acknowledge to them that you were listening, because they will say to you, "Oh, you did hear me." And that in itself is very gratifying.
Amen. And angels, let me just say this. It's very powerful when somebody acknowledges you. Yet I will tell you this, the first person that needs to acknowledge you is you.
Right.
So when once you start acknowledging yourself, other people outside of you will begin to acknowledge you because that's all that can happen.
That's right.
And that is from experience from a 52-year young woman to an 84-year young woman. And it is in the applying of the principles that you have the experiences in your life, even with active listening. In what other ways can people, before we go there, I would like to say, angels, just think about this. We have so much noise in the world. There's a lot of hurt people walking around in the world, a lot of sadness, a lot of unforgiveness.
Hmm.
What would our world be like, Miss Rosemary, if we had more active listeners?
If we had more active listeners, such as family members who, in many instances, ignore your feelings. But instead of ignoring your feelings, maybe you have an aunt, maybe it's a cousin, sometimes it may be a brother or sister who are willing to say, "I hear you and I want to know the problem."
And I will tell you this, angels, when she said family and ignoring you and not giving you any acknowledgement. Growing up in the house that I grew up in, and I've shared with this many times on our podcast, on our weekly podcast on Tuesdays, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. blogtalkradio.com/Buzzards Corner of Love. Yet I will tell you this, growing up in the household that I grew up in, I wasn't heard. and my feelings weren't acknowledged. And my sister, who was also adopted from a different set of parents a year previous to my being in that household, she even ignored my feelings and dismissed them. So it's really powerful when you have an auntie or an uncle
Mm-hmm.
or a grandmama or
Mm-hmm.
somebody of that nature, a godmama or something of that nature
Yes.
that can will sit you down and will hear you.
Yes.
Because when you talk, you feel better about who you are.
Absolutely.
Chime in. Share.
Um, I know that I've had instances where um, people have held feelings of being raped, or they were molested as children, and now they're 50 years old. They've never shared that hurt occurred, and they've been carrying that weight all these years.
Right.
And you're finally having a door to open to you that says, we're here and we're ready to listen and help you get over whatever it is that caused you to be down.
And let me just say this. Let me just say this, Angel. While I was listening to what she was saying, there's a difference between listening and confession. The
Correct.
Catholic Church has built linked, have fooled people into confessing and throwing in some money. That's one of the reasons why they're such a powerful church, is because of the money behind it. Yet confession isn't listening. Confession is just, oh, I did this wrong and I did that wrong and this, that, and the other, and the person on the other side saying, oh, well, God will forgive you. That isn't listening.
No.
Listening is when the other person acknowledges that what you're feeling and carrying, the hurt, the anger, the pain, the discontentment, whatever it may be, is real.
Mm-hmm.
And that it isn't something that can be just dismissed or ignored, that it is truly acknowledged.
Exactly.
And that is the difference between listening and confessing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, what else would you like to say to our angels?
I'd just like for you to know that if you are one of those people who have a dire need to share, and you at this time have no one you feel that's listening or are capable of listening to you, that there is a way out. And at a community center,
Yes.
you generally will find counselors who are willing to open themselves just for you,
Yes.
and not bring in others, not until you're ready to be uh, looked at by others, because you need to have just that doorway to that individual at that community center who knows your situation and is ready to aid you whenever you press the button.
And I tell you, angels, community centers are powerful centers. That's why they're there in our communities to help us
Absolutely.
move through situations and experiences that we aren't able to move through on our own.
Mm-hmm.
And it isn't only community centers, angels. You can also call prayer lines.
Mm-hmm.
Unity Church has a powerful prayer line, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You
Yes.
can look up their Unity prayer line. It's a
Mhm.
1-800 number, so it is free.
Mhm.
And they listen, and they
Mhm.
will pray with you, and they will keep you in their prayer chapel for 30 days continuously.
Mhm.
So, and also, Buzzard's Corner of Love, we have life coach healing, and we're offering a free 30-minute session over the phone. So if you'd like to just call and talk, we're here to support you in that manner as well. Miss Rosemary, she's willing to listen to you as well.
Mhm.
How would one get in contact with you?
Merely by calling, and I'm open to receive.
She's open to receive by call.
Area code 323-582-8733.
Say that once again.
Area code 323-582-8733.
Angels, I tell you, active listening Did you hear us today, or were you truly listening to what it is we spoke about? Acknowledging self. On Buzzard's Corner of Love Radio, Angels, we're talking about self all month long. This is my birthday month, celebrating self. And part of that self is what we were discussing, acknowledging self, acknowledging your feelings, dealing with your feelings in a healthy way. And I'll be the first to tell you, I don't always deal with my feelings in a healthy way. There are times when I can deal with my feelings in an unhealthy way. And at those times when that does happen, I'm going to ask Miss Rosemary here, because she's got 30 plus years more experience on life than I do. When those times happen, what advice do you give people for themselves?
To seek the comfort of someone, again, who is willing to open themselves to hear you.
Okay, and if you're with yourself at that moment though, and you aren't able to reach out at that moment, do you have anything that you could say to those that are just in the space with themselves that they may do for themselves in that moment?
To read passages from the Bible,
Okay, you can read out of the Bible.
going from Proverbs. That's an excellent source of love there,
Okay.
because a lot of us, that is also part of the real problem. No love.
Angels, did you hear what she said? No love. I will say again, growing up in the household that I grew up in, and if you listen to our radio show, you know the story. There was toleration in our household. My mother tolerated me, I tolerated her. Yet as far as the unconditional love, that wasn't there. And when the unconditional love isn't there, then you won't be hurt. And because of that, I beat up on myself. Don't do that to yourself. You don't have to do that to yourself.
That's right.
You don't have to beat up on yourself. If you're in a space where you aren't able to reach out to somebody, just sit and be still. Call on God. Just know that you are perfect exactly where you are. And divine order knows that you wouldn't be there in that experience right now if it weren't meant to be. Think about that.
That's right.
That's divine order.
That's right.
Right here, what we're being doing and having is divine order, or we wouldn't be here.
Yes.
For whomever it is that needs to hear it out there into the world. So is there anything else you'd like to tell our angels before we wrap this up?
Know that you are loved, even though you may not feel it at this time. But know you are loved, and we only want to support you in finding and making that love plentiful for yourself, and no longer have little or none.
Amen. Thank you, Miss Rosemary, for being on Buzzard's Corner of Love. Think outside the box.
All right.
All right. Angels, you heard it from Miss Rosemary. 84 years of experience. I tell you, when I grow up, I want to be just like her. I swear to God. I tell you, thank you so much for joining us here on Buzzard's Corner of Love. Think outside the box. Angels, you can get a hold of us at buzzardscorner.com. BUZZARDSKORNER. Buzzards Corner with a K.com. Sign up for our free monthly email. Angels, you can pick yourself up a self-help package, coaching package, but we will listen and support you. We've got our book. You can download our latest ebook, 8 Easy Steps to Improve Your Life Now. Our other book, 5 Pillars for Life or Death, What Are You Choosing? Available at lulu.com. Angels, subscribe to our channel, like our videos, check out the videos below, and know that you are loved and that you are a precious child of God, and that you can have a relationship with spirit outside of a building. Until then, in the meantime, and in between time, angels, I am Heather Buzzard, a Buzzard's Corner of Love. Think outside the box.
Bye.